Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to make a granny square using mohair yarn. You can then use these granny squares to make a sweater, which I will have in the next video. With your first color, you're going to create a slip knot. With the mohair, you're going to want to grab 2 skeins of that same color, and then in the center of this skein of yarn, you're going to pull out the end of the yarn that's in the center. This is just easiest for me. You don't have to pull it out of the middle. This is just how I do it. Then you're going to put those 2 ends together, and then you're going to make that slip knot loop. So watch this video as I make it. It's really not that hard, I promise. It just takes a little bit of practice, and hopefully these slow visuals are slow enough for you to see what's truly going on. When you are creating your slip knot loop and it is on your hook still and you haven't tightened it, grab both of the yarn ends to tighten the loop. And then you just kind of pull it and it just tightens on its own. It's pretty great. Then you're going to chain 3. After you chain 3, you're going to yarn over your hook, and then you're going to insert your hook into the slip knot loop because it can be used as a magic circle. Yeah, fun fact, this method of making a slip knot loop can be used as a magic circle. It's pretty great. I literally don't use the magic circle method because of this slip knot method. It is truly incredible. So you're going to double crochet in that slip knot loop. Then you're going to double crochet again. Then you're going to repeat what's in these little asterisks here. So that would be chain 3, and then double crochet 3 back into the slip knot loop again until you have 4 corners. And you will see what I mean as the video continues. Right now it may be like, huh, 4 corners, what? But the chain 3 actually creates a corner, which is pretty awesome. And then the clusters of double crochet just separate those corners. And if you're still lost or having trouble double crocheting or just any of this, I would suggest watching my Beginner of Beginners series on YouTube before watching this video. It will help you understand this video a little bit better because those videos are made for beginners specifically. So it goes through all of the motions, all of the steps, everything you need to know to crochet at the easiest way possible. I have this video linked on the screen, so go ahead and click it and check it out if you're still confused. So now that we've gotten a little bit further in this first row, you can kind of see the corner that I'm talking about. So that first chain 3 created the first corner. You're going to continue this process until you have 4 corners total. And now we are on the last corner. It can be a little bit hard to tell where you need a slip stitch in, which is why I'm moving the little loops around. But once you're able to find that second chain, you can slip stitch in it, as I am. Then you're going to want to remove your hook from your project and then cut that end of the yarn that's attached to your skeins. Now this is the cool part about this whole magic circle slip knot thing that I was talking about. So with this method, you can pull the yarn end coming from the center of the square to tighten your loop, which is essentially the point of a magic circle. Now you're going to grab your next color. You're going to do the exact same thing you originally did with your first color. So create that slip knot loop, and then we're going to attach it to the original square. So with that last loop you did on your square, you're going to pull that slip knot loop of the new color through that last loop that you did. Then pull the end of the yarn that's coming from the last loop of your square to tighten that loop to secure everything. And then I like to chain before I knot anything together, so chain 4. And then turn your square back over. Then you're gonna knot the first color from your square to the new color. So both of those yarn ends you're going to knot together, and hopefully I'm not speaking gibberish, but you're gonna knot those two ends together to secure them in place, because otherwise they will become loose and continue to just keep getting looser and looser, and you don't need your granny square falling apart. Once you knot it, I like to weave my ends through the square. I just kind of go in between the stitches and just kind of go where feels right, and then pull the yarn ends through. You can do this however you want. You don't have to do this. Some people like weaving in their ends at the end, but I just thought for visual purposes I would show you kind of what I do. It is a little bit blurry and a little bit hard to see, but I'm hoping that you guys get the gist. This video is supposed to help beginners, but not for true beginners. Now you can turn your project back over, and then we're going to begin with the new color. So you're going to double crochet 3, chain 3, double crochet 3, and then chain 3 spaces. So just keep that in mind. And every chain 3 space, you're going to double crochet 3, chain 3, double crochet 3 on that chain 3 space. And if you want to skip through this because you kind of know what I'm talking about, you're welcome to, of course. But if not, feel free to keep watching and then make sure you're doing everything correctly. So then after you finish that last double crochet 3 cluster, you're going to chain 1, and then you're going to repeat that corner all over again, chain 1, and repeat again. So you're going to want to repeat this corner until you have 4 corners again. And I also like to cut any extra yarn ends. I crochet over any of my yarn ends. Sometimes I weave them in. It really just depends on my mood. This time in this corner, because of how the granny square worked out, I just crocheted over them, so that was me cutting them. And then continue the stitch pattern as I said. Again, if you don't want to continue watching this, you can skip to the time 11:28 and then continue the instructions. Okay, so now you've reached the end of the row. So you're going to slip stitch in the third chain. You want one chain between the first cluster of double crochets you did and the last one you did. That's honestly how you make a granny square. So make sure that that chain is there and you're going in the third one. Then cut this yarn end again, and then you're going to grab your next color and we're going to create that slip knot loop again, and we're going to start this same process for a new row, just like we did with the second color. You're going to pull that slip knot loop from the new color through the last loop you did of your granny square. Then you're going to chain 3 this time. And then you're going to turn your project over. We're going to knot the yarn ends together again like we did originally. And then after you knot those together, we're going to continue the granny square. Double crochet 2 and then chain 1 space below. And then you are going to chain 1, and then whatever is in asterisk, you're going to repeat it. So you're going to do that chain 1, double crochet 3, chain 3, double crochet 3, all in the corner. And then you are going to chain 1 again and double crochet 3 in the chain 1 space below. Repeat this until the end of the row, and I'm going to provide a little trick to help you remember this easily. And with any of my patterns, anything that's in brackets like that is going to be in a corner or all in one stitch or something like that. So if you happen to have one of my patterns or planning on getting one, or even just want to know a little bit, that is a good tidbit to know. A great way to remember how to make a granny square is by thinking this. Chain above any double crochet 3, double crochet 3 in any chain below, and then for any chain 3, you're going to double crochet, chain 3, double crochet to create that corner. So that's a really great way to remember kind of what to do for a granny square, because it can look a little tricky, especially if you're new. Hopefully that information and that visual helped you guys. So I'm just continuing that stitch pattern all through the granny square. Again, you're just repeating that same pattern that I had in asterisks on the screen until you reach the end of the row, or the start of the row, however you prefer to say that. Then you're going to slip stitch into the third chain. Again, you might have to separate those loops a little bit so that they're a little bit easier to see, but you want to slip stitch in that third chain. After you slip stitch, you can cut your yarn and finish it off. So a lot of times in patterns it says FO or finish off, and I'm going to show you how to finish off a granny square, or at least how I do it. You're going to pull that yarn through the loop so that it's just a yarn end coming out of your project, and then with a needle you are going to pretty much finish off. So you're going to skip the first double crochet you did, and then you're going to go under the first loop of the second double crochet as seen. You might have to slow down the video to see this. After you pull that yarn end through, you're going to go back through the original loop that this piece of yarn is coming from, and then just pull it a little bit tighter so that it's like seamless. Then you're going to turn your project and you're going to knot this yarn end to your square and then weave in your end. You can do this however you please. This is just how I do it so you guys can see visual. I know some people like to see exactly how certain people do things, so there is how I do it. Then I'm weaving in my end, and then after I weave in my end, I'm going to cut it, and then that is finished there. With any extra ends you have, you are more than welcome to weave them in. So I'm just weaving in this last end, cutting it, and then this square is done. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope that it was helpful, and I hope that it wasn't too confusing. I know if you're just starting out with crochet, it can definitely be a little confusing. So if you're interested in any of my videos, like, subscribe, follow me on Instagram to keep up with all of my crochet endeavors.